So, well, yeah, as I thought about preparing for this um, I don't know, this meeting, let's say, um, I felt so many different emotions. Uh, I guess that's the truth of Katrina. Maybe it's the truth of life. There is definitely joy about the progress we've made, and there was tremendous pain and loss, and maybe a wake up. Um, so I was in thinking, in planning for this. I kept, as Hazel mentioned, about the city and the resistance and the rebuilding. It reminded me of the Pablo Neruda poem. You can pick all the flowers, but you can't stop the spring. And here we are. And there is growth and there is rebuilding. So let's take a few moments and do some centering. Um, and again, as I thought about what would be the most appropriate, as is so often the case with Jin Shin Jyutsu, the simplest thing came to mind. I thought it would be nice for us to cross hands or not as you choose and hold safety energy lock one. I'm sure all of you know that, but for anybody watching, safety energy lock one inside the knee. I like to cross hands, and there's usually a place you can find that's kind of waiting for your hands. And I like the ones for so many reasons, but today I like them because it's about moving forward. It's the prime mover, taking us forward in life and also bringing unity. So I invite you to sink in, find that place where your body invites your hands in. And bring your awareness to the breath without manipulating it or changing it. Follow that pattern down the front, letting go, up the back, receiving. And again. What is it that you're carrying that you're ready to put down? What is it that you hold on to, spirit, mind, or body, that doesn't serve you, that doesn't bring you more peace? Let it slide away with the next exhale. And maybe you were not affected by that particular storm, but we all have those moments in our life. Can you identify that in your life? And can you let any of it go? And I invite you to bring your awareness into your fingertips. What does Safety Energy Lock 1 have to tell you? By your hands, feeling the whisperings of the pulse. Safety Energy Lock 1 also brings us unity. Can you feel that unity of spirit, mind, body under your hands? And as you finish those 36 breaths, take time to have gratitude for your ability to breathe and for the fact that we've been exposed to this art, that we can live our lives with that. And come on back when you're ready. Good. So, any thoughts or observations, or it's just so nice to stop sometimes, huh? Just, just breathe. So, I, in preparation for this little gathering, I knew theoretically that some things had changed about animal care since Katrina, but I kind of wanted to go find the facts. And so I went out and did some research. And this particularly applies in the US, but I presume maybe other places were not so backwards beforehand, or B, that people would have taken this into consideration as global weather events continue to intensify. So Katrina was August 29th of 2005. And on the anniversary, August 26th, try it again, August 29th of 2006, the US Congress adopted something called the PETS Act, which stands for Pets Evaluation Pets Evacuation and Transportation Standards. And this was all orchestrated through the LSU vet department. And what they found after the storm is that 44% of the people who did not leave areas after the mandatory evacuation didn't leave because they couldn't transport their pets. They wouldn't leave their pets and they couldn't get out with their pets. And this act by Congress states that when there is an evacuation, there must be the ability for the animals to be evacuated as well. And so in lots of places, the way that happens is that in lots of places where people are going into shelters, for instance, they don't have all their animals with them, but a shelter facility must be set up alongside. So I'm not saying it's ideal. They may still be in crates. They may be physically separated from their people, but they can get out. Now, this applies primarily to pets. We're not talking about livestock, but there were many different plans put in place about how to plan for livestock and how to help them be evacuated. And all of the evacuations and shelters. Now, we understand that this may be changed at this moment with certain powers that be, but until now, for the last 20 years, all of those costs are included in FEMA, so that the people aren't leaving their animals or staying and ending up in the attic or on the roof because they couldn't get out with their animals. If you want to see more about this if you go onto lsu.edu/vetmed. They have information that tells you how to plan for evacuations, how to evacuate, where you can evacuate. Um, uh, One of the most basic things that wasn't planned back then was animals weren't microchipped. And that has gone a very long way to reuniting animals with their people. Um, my little journey at uh, that, as I wrote in the note that I sent out, the day before, well, we started 2 days before. um, I leased a horse that was on the Mississippi levee, um, and there were 38 horses at that stable, and we trailered them all up across Lake Pontchartrain and about 60 miles north of the stable where they were at. And they still got the storms, they still got the winds, but what they had a vet from LSU who lived there, and he went up and was with the horses. They put everybody out of the barns, out of the stables, so that in case the wood came down, the horses were out. And what the horses did was form one big circle with their butts out and their heads down. And all of the horses that we transported out lived through the storm, traumatized. My big girl was a Percheron thoroughbred mix, and she lost over 400 pounds from the stress before she got moved back. Um, and as I said, it was a mandatory evacuation. I came to my partner in Destin, Florida, which is where I am right now. I still have my home in New Orleans. I go back every couple of weeks. Um, but it was closed. You couldn't get back into the city, and then they opened it up by zip code. And the first day they opened up my zip code, I went back. You had to get tetanus shots. You had to go back. You had to carry your own gasoline, your own water, your own food. And of course, we had no idea what we were going back to. I One of the worst things was that I fed raw. So my freezer was full of the worst smelling, once frozen dog food you had ever come across. And the whole fridge had tipped over and was in the house for a month. Um, so that was an event. Anyway, once I got back there, I worked with Best Friends Animal Refuge, who had gotten to town very rapidly. Um, at that time, the director of Best Friends was originally from New Orleans, a guy named Paul Berry. And he got back to town fast and worked with LSU. And I, volunteered and called, and I thought I'd be one of those people. I could go out in the boats and I could help and I could, but I had worked some with Best Friends and they knew what I did. And oddly enough, they didn't call on me for my boat and capturing abilities. Go figure. So, but I said, I'll do whatever needs doing. And I didn't expect to be given the job I was given. And it was an honor, and it was about as hard as anything I've ever done. I was in a little building out on Jefferson Highway, a vet clinic, where they took many of the cats who had been in the water, and the water was filled with oil and toxins and chemicals. And these six, by and large, the cats did better than the dogs, but these cats that had been in the water did not. And they were going to be euthanized because they couldn't breathe, they couldn't eat, bleeding. And so they asked me to stay in this little back room with 200 cats a day and give them Jin Shin Jyutsu before they were euthanized, so that they were touched, so that they could be seen, they could be loved, even for a moment, they could be acknowledged. Some of them were so toxic, I had to wear gloves to work on them. But I sat in this little back room and I didn't know what to go, where to, what did. So I just went to my go-to. I went to the loving kindness prayer and I held 13 and 10. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May you be well. And I would sit there for as long. Some of them weren't ready to be touched, but many of them, a bizarre number of them were. And so it wasn't, boy, did I not feel heroic. But I believe that it was a way to share love. I believe it did some good. There were a couple cats that were so good that I absolutely just, they just seemed fine. They seemed like they were being put into a big group and it didn't have to be. And so I was able to save a handful of them and go and, fight with the vets and go, no, not this one. No, let's wait a week and see what happens, and I don't know what happened to them all, but yeah. Yeah, so that's not a very uplifting Katrina story, but it was, it's how that went. Yeah. Uh, and it's interesting, though, how much that little experience affected how life goes down, because I don't know where my cat is right now, but she was a feral girl 15 and a half years ago, and now the she's the queen of everything. We all bow and scrape and do whatever she wants. And she was found with a litter of kittens under a crack house a long time ago. And when I brought her home, um, she was a huntress. That's what she knew to survive. And she also had no idea about this litter box thing. She was just not going to be an indoor kitty. So, but she does not leave our property. I mean, we never told her that. There's a lot of kids in our cul-de-sac. She doesn't like kids. She stays here. Anyway, she got a bird a couple weeks after we brought her home. And I'm online Googling, like, what do you do to make a feral cat stop catching wildlife? And they said it was really simple. Give her better protein than she can hunt for. And let me tell you, the queen gets, yesterday she'd had fresh tilapia in the morning. And I mean, she's a queen. Yesterday afternoon, I hear this little, she's very verbal and she has quite a language and she has a particular, which means, come immediately, you have to see this. And so I dropped everything and went. And she's brought this little baby squirrel into our living room. And 2 days before, I had actually seen on the dog walk that an adult squirrel had, I guess, fallen from the electric lines and was dead. I now conclude that might have been the mama of this little one. And I had actually seen the little one the day before, but it scurried away. And at the time, I thought, well, it's come out of its nest. Its mama will take it back. It's, you know. Anyway, this little one ends up in the living room, and I go over and I get it. And son of a gun, the queen of everything has now learned. She brought me this little one. It was hardly even wet, no teeth marks. She didn't hurt him. It, I think it had lost its mom. And I picked it up, and what a surprise. I started holding 13 and 10, and it took a while to get to the loving kindness prayer because I was like, oh, what am I going to do with this baby squirrel? Um, uh, we went outside, we looked around, we looked for a nest, we looked for mama, we looked, I couldn't find anybody. Um, in cut to the chase, I wonder if I can do this. We'll see. Um, yes, can you see this guy? So this is the little one. Yeah. What a will to live. Okay, it's not much of a film documentary, but anyway, because I work at this rescue, I have connections to, so I started, actually, I called Blake because I didn't want to put the baby down. I put him on speed dial and said, you have to call these, we got to find where do we take a baby squirrel? You know, so the upshot was little guy, I got a dropper of water down his throat. And um, Blaine drove me, and we went out to this rescue and took this little one um, to Panhandle Wildlife Rescue, where there were 6 other baby squirrels. And she said, now we'll have to be in quarantine a little bit and all. But I share all that for several reasons. One, because the queen knew to bring me an orphaned squirrel without hurting it. So, it's Australia that's now adopted the legal status that all animals have the legal status of sentient beings. And I don't think it's in our normal expected nature for a cat to bring a baby squirrel to be Jin Shin. But this is how we change the family. This is how we change the world. Yeah. So anyway, um, who's, I'm blabbing a lot here. Anybody got questions about their animals, about the practice, stories to tell? It's so sweet to have this community together. Sherry, my friend.
Hey there, everybody. I am so grateful to be here. And one of the other things that came out of Katrina is um, domestic violence victims. A lot of the shelters now are working on building kennels so that the DV victims can evacuate with their pets. There's an organization that I'm a member of. It's called Red Rover, redrover.org, and they have a multi-pronged approach to doing things with animals. And one of the things is they call for volunteers to go out on these deployments to help build those shelters at or near domestic violence shelters, in addition to being deployed for all kinds of animal operations, from um, hoarding situations to law enforcement things to sheltering to you name it. And that is Sacramento, California, but I deployed with them here in New Jersey for a hoarding case, and really good organization. So just wanted to give them a plug.
Would you put that in the chat?
Sure, you bet.
That's wonderful. That's great. I didn't know the name of the organization. I've heard that they're doing that more and more. And yeah, it's again that thing of people stay in harm's way because they won't leave their animals. Yeah, fantastic. Robin,
Um, that across Canada, we're struggling for several years now with fires, and each one has provided opportunities for organizations to learn. And I forget what it is, like 8 or 10 years ago, Fort McMurray, which is way north of here, and an oil-based community caught fire, and half the town burnt. People dropped everything they were doing. People that I know, horse people or dog people or rescues, went up there there was no organization for this. And in that town, there was one road that goes through. So you either went north of the fire or you came south of the fire. And these people rescued horses and dogs and cats and all kinds of things. And since then, there's lots of fires, lots of evacuations, all of that kind of stuff. There's been more and more organization for how to rescue those animals. And last year, the Humane Society in Red Deer, became part of a whole, I don't know what to call it, but it was kind of a rescue thing. All the services that people could need who were evacuating from the fires in Alberta. Many of them went to the bigger cities because they were closer, but those places filled up, and so our town of just over 100,000, I guess, the city, and I got to be part of that as a Jin Shin Jyutsu person, and I joined the staff that went, and the staff was there to provide kennels or safety or food or dog pads or whatever you need that you had to leave behind. And I was there to kind of try and offer people or their animals Jin Shin Jyutsu. It's a newer thing, and we haven't needed it locally so much this year, but that kind of thing is going on across the countries. And the ones that didn't suffer with fires, they're the ones suffering right now, and they're learning. Hotels, bring your pet. It was amazing. There's an organization online that will go and help you with your horses, or connect people. Like, we've got 40 acres, bring your horses, and all of that kind of stuff going on, which I find amazing. And so ours isn't, hurricane related, it's fire related.
sure.
And the fires have been awful.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the planet is trying to get our attention. That's one way to put it, huh? Yeah, yeah. That kind of idea, I must say, when last year, when Hurricane Milton and Helene were coming up through Florida, before 3 or 4 days before, um, at my rescue, which was not in the pathway, all these extra crates and kennels and things were brought in, and they started emptying the shelters in the south and bringing all these animals north so that people who were staying or people who needed help could take their animals to the more secure shelter there. And we got 195 dogs and forgotten about 25 horses, and we didn't get cats. There were a couple other places near us that got cats, but they all were evacuated before the storm. It is a different thinking, blessedly now. So, little bit of progress. Um, um, other stories or questions, or Mary, my dear.
You've made me very emotional.
No, not you.
And living here in Northern California in the middle of fires every week and working with the animal shelter, which is where all the animals go to be evacuated. I live outside my comfort zone every day. And meeting Jin Shin Jyutsu, I knew that was 12 years ago. And then somebody said, hey, there's a woman that does it with animals. And I went to your class in 14, and it just changed my whole world. And I've never been the same. I wasn't very happy that you made me be a human practitioner before I could become an animal one, but putting my hands on other people, putting my hands on the animals is unbelievable. But I put my hands on myself every single day. And it's how I keep going forward. And thank you, Adele. Thank you. Because I do great things because I know, and this soothes me. So thank you.
Yeah, it's to me, this whole seeing that, back a million years ago, or 35, whatever it was, when I had that sick collie dog, I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know, hi Heidi, hi big girl. The fact that there is this community now, and that in fact it spans different countries, it fills up my soul. Oh, the Queen is shaking her collar somewhere. She might make a guest appearance. A couple other things I know you all have. Libby, I'm sorry, Angel. We started an hour ago. You must be on the New Orleans time, and anyway, we started at 10 Eastern. But it's recorded. We're glad you're here. Libby is one of the New Orleans gang from, I don't know how many decades we've been doing this together, a long time. I know a lot of her beautiful family. She got one of the pups from my prison program a while back, and yeah. Yeah, a couple things. There's one of our community, of our human community, who recently passed, and I just wanted to let you know, Anne Crosby, um, up in the northwest, far northwest of the country. A loving practitioner and animal advocate. And she had done some teacher training with us a while back, and holding her in her heart. Her dog is looking for a home. I don't have many details. Robin or Mary, do you know any more details? If any, I think it's a like a middle-aged pitty, isn't she? I think so.
I think they said 12 years old, but I don't know anything else really. And you would, uh,
Should
however I heard about it, they did put a link to the family And I think it was on Facebook.
It's on Facebook under Ann Crosby. If anyone is saying, oh my goodness, what I need is a 12-year-old dog right this minute, get in touch with me and I'll make those connections. Terry, my love.
Yes, I wanted to also say that we've had a big loss in the JSJ community, and I don't know if everybody heard of it. Joni Mill Spa in Morristown passed several weeks ago, and they're having a service in October. I'm not sure exactly the date, but she was a person that got Morristown started with JSJ in the hospitals, and we have practitioners in the JSJ in Atlantic Health now due to Joni and a couple other practitioners. But Joni was a big, played a big part of that, and it's very sad that we lost her. But she was, I think, 88, and I just wanted to say that. So,
Thank you, Terry. Thank you. Um, um, if you are feeling like, oh well, being together and look at this crowd and these are people I need to have more time with, then I wanted to tell you about a couple ways that you could do that in the near future. Um, One is that, let's see, September 19th, 20th, and 21st, I will be flying up to Terry, and we will be going to Muddy Paws Farm Rescue up in Southampton, New Jersey. We were there last year. It's a profoundly sweet place. There's horses and cows and goats and ducks and geese. There's this a fancy goose named Lady Gaga with just more feathers than you've ever seen, and she has this retinue of little geese that follow her behind, and she struts and carries on, and it's really a loving, unique place, and they've really opened their doors to us. So that's going to be fun. And if you can't get to the Northeast, then Simone is going to be joining me, and we are going to be offering a 7-week online course, and it's a fun one. It's a deep dive into the depths. And what I was looking for with that, the understanding the depths, I believe, is the way into the animal work, because they don't always want us listening to their pulses. They don't come in and tell us everything that's going on with them. But when you see all the connections through the depths, it leads you into really great ways to share with the animals. Specifically, we focus on the anchor steps of the 12 organ flows, using that and how to adapt them for the animals. So, kidney flow, we ain't doing the anchor step. We explore the flows both as self-help and how are we going to share it in the animal kingdom with different species. So that's online, starts, I know that, hold on. It starts on September 27th. And there's 2 drops each week. It's on the Teachable platform. And then there's 5 live Zooms to answer questions and practice and celebrate the community and all. And then it goes through November 15th, but you have an additional 3 months to watch all the videos. So about 35 videos in all. And if you're wanting to be certified in the work, that does count as a class, as obviously do the in-person. And then, because the fall is just busy, then November 9th through the 12th, I will have a 4-day at the refuge where I work, at Aliqua Animal Refuge down in Freeport, Florida. Um, and that's lovely too because I've been there 15 years, so they kind of understand the work and they let us go and be with exactly who we want. Um, so yeah, that's all that's coming up for the fall. Um, and of course, we always have private Zooms available, or, you need help, your animals need help, you just reach out. One of my faculty or I will, we just want this work to spread. So, um, other, Terry, were you able to put that little link to the website? Great. So if you're looking for more info about those classes, it is in the chat. Um, and I will download this and put this up on YouTube for people to be able to share with friends or review or whatever. Um, uh, and anybody have any thoughts or? Well, it wouldn't be me if we, oh, wait, Ingrid, I don't see your hand, but it tells me you raised it. Hi, my love.
Hi, I was wondering if would JSJ Spirit Mind Body be open to having a little blurb that if anyone's interested in having an animal course that you and your faculty would be able to, you'd be happy to contact you or something. I don't know what the situation is with them, but I just think the more, because sometimes it's far to travel to go to the classes, and I just think it would be nice if we could have more of them spread out all over the place. So,
Oh, it would be very nice. I mean, I have good relations with them, but uh, so far I haven't succeeded in getting something like that. Kelly Mount is my only faculty member who is also a faculty member on Spirit Mind Body.
okay,
So she may be able to put that on her own page.
thanks.
Yeah, sure. No, it's a great idea. If anybody has an in on that, oh, we're interested. Yvonne.
I was just wondering how you got into these like prison and the pet shelters. I don't know. Monica can probably refer. The Swiss aren't that open for certain things. They're open, but not like they don't seem to be as open as the Canadians and the Americans because it's something. How can I nicely put it? It's a bit in the woo-woo area. It's yeah, up there. And I was just wondering because I'm sure it would be interesting for us as well. I'm just wondering how you got yourself into there, because if you just write to the shelters or prisons and stuff, they're all like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's pretty
Yeah.
hard.
The prison work, I really loved the prison work, but
Exactly.
that has changed here now. Many of the prisons are have been privatized and are now for profit. So we won't go down that story. So I'm not in the prisons now. Um, what I'm doing now is that I take the animals from the refuge where I work into senior living facilities, and that brings so much joy. Um, and the way I do it is that I haven't found an easy way to write to places. Sonia, you might want to reach out to Sonia. She has written to virtually every shelter in Switzerland, I think. And
It's just here, and you're not even allowed to take your pets. If you go to a home, you're not allowed to take your pet. You have to leave it. There's not any, like, you're not allowed to go, like, say you lose your house because you can't stay at home anymore. You lose your animal as well. So,
yeah.
and I think Yeah, trying to change that would be
But
great.
what I usually do, I think it's something that Sue may have done. I know Robin's done it. We go, we volunteer, we spend time, we say, oh, I want to sit with the shy ones, I want to sit with the old ones, I want to, and once you're sitting there, then you just happen to slide your hands on them, and then, and Mary's words, in a few moments, more or less, they kind of notice that how come the animals that Sue is with transform so much? I find I have to show them, I can't tell them.
I actually, when I got in the Humane Society, I totally lucked out. Was like after my class with Adele, I went and I told them what I did, and I would like to learn to practice, on their dogs. And this woman said, "Come right in. My brother's a naturopath," and there we are. But I've been there. We're talking about it this week. I think I've been there 18 years, and I've gone through 4 executive directors now, and it really depends on, and staff turnover is a lot because what they do is minimum wage kind of stuff, and so it turns over, and it really depends on who's there. So I started with that in mind, but I think Adele's advice of going in to be a volunteer and spend time with the animals really is. Mary can tell you some of this stuff. She used to take the dogs for a walk, and when nobody was around, she'd do Jin Shin Jyutsu. So there's lots of different ways to approach that, and
Yvonne, if you're near Zurich, then you're not too far from Evo, from this place.
Exactly.
And if you look on my website, look under the blogs, it'll have the name of it because it's or maybe Monica can put it in the chat because it's long with many spellings. And my gosh, is he open, and it will be as rewarding as any place you could ever go.
Oh, thank you.
And they need the work. Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Thank you, Robin. Yeah. Yeah. So, so in closing, you know me, where would we be if we didn't have a poem? And I went searching, and okay, I went to one of the places I often search. Son of a gun, I started with Mary Oliver. And didn't she have a poem called Hurricane? So, how about this, my friends? How about this? Okay. Hurricane. It didn't behave like anything you had ever imagined. The wind tore at the trees. The rain fell for days, slant and hard, back of the hand to everything. I watched the trees bow and their leaves fall and crawl back into the earth, as though that was that. This was one hurricane I lived through. The other one was of a different sort, and it lasted longer. And I felt my own leaves giving up and falling, the back of the hand to everything. But listen now, what happened to the actual trees? Towards the end of that summer, they pushed new leaves from their stubbed limbs. It was the wrong season, yes, but they just couldn't stop. They looked like telephone poles, and they didn't care. And after the leaves came the blossoms. For some things, there are no wrong seasons, which was what I dream of for me. So, my friends, I dream of it for you, for all of us, for the animals, for our planet. And I thank you for coming together in community. And don't be strangers, and stay in touch, and be joyful. Hold your fingers. Bye, my dears.
Thanks so much, Adele. So wonderful to see you today.